We are
Yeah.
live. Welcome to
Okay.
Tuesday.
So typically we start off with recognition, and let's just be real. My husband just got home and I didn't pull the report. It is the first of the month. So I will be bringing in all the recognition Friday like I typically do in the team page and on social media. So stay tuned. I will say that we had, from what I saw on last Thursday, we did have a pretty great end to the month, to what seemed like, a little bit more challenging month. So for all of you, I just want to say good job. Good job with Team Cup. Way to rally, in these tough times. And like I just said, like, use this. If I have one piece of advice tonight outside of our call topic, is use this as your thing that brings you joy, and it will propel your business forward. Because I can't even tell you how many people in the last week came to me saying, I just need to be doing what you're doing because I'm in such a funk right now, because I just can't break out of my bad mood, because I feel like everything is just bad news, bad news, bad news, and I need something. So be that broken record and do it for yourself. I know that literally I am leaning in hard to everything that is this team and these workouts and everything that comes with it, because it's what I need right now. So we have a really fun topic tonight. I'm excited to talk about challenge groups, and we have put our heads together to bring you lots of information. For those of you who are brand new and those of you who are veteran coaches, I think that this will really help to just kind of get back to the bread and butter of what it is that we do as coaches. Hopefully give you some ideas for you veteran coaches to maybe fine tune some things, and for you newer coaches to just get in a flow of what does it look like from the invite to now we have a group going, and how does that process continue? So, month after month after month, group after group, or whatever. So before we launch in, I want to throw it over to Kim if you have anything you want to add before I kick it off.
I would say the only we're doing this book. I can't find it right now. I've been looking for it all day, but 30 Days to Shine, and it's just a really powerful book if you are looking for a little 30-day devotional. It's only like one page each, and I feel like it has brought up. It's funny how, of course, this book wasn't written for the times that we are in, but how a book always meets you in the times that you are in. It's always so crazy how that happens. And I just kind of had a thought recently, that we have we've got 4 months left in the month. And, when we came into January, we had like a kickoff call, I remember, and we all talked about these huge goals and all these things that we wanted to do. And, 3 months later, we were completely stalled in our tracks. And it just was such lately it's been pressed upon me. And I was driving through the Yellowstone Park. I just kind of had that feeling of like leaving the bad behind, and like leaving the negative, and leaving the emotional toll that the last 6 months has been on me. And then thinking about like women on our team and the goals that they have, and the unfortunate part of what's happened over the last 6 months is I feel like it's kind of taken a little bit of each of us and taken a lot of our stamina, and what we normally wouldn't exert so much energy towards, we've had to like completely shift how we push. Things have just changed in priorities for all of us. And so my challenge to you, and my challenge to myself, is don't let the last 6 months rob you of the goals that you set before you. Because the reality is, whether it was COVID, or maybe it was a broken leg or a loss of a family member, and I'm not saying it in the last 6 months, but something's always going to happen. You're always going to go through trials, and the only difference is we all went through this trial, and it was all of the same trial, but different. Obviously, we all struggled in different ways. But if it's one thing I've heard, I feel like the loss of what has happened, even if you didn't personally lose someone, we all lost in the last 6 months, whether it was relationships, whether it was time, whether it was a goal, whether it was money, whether it was, things that you were setting forth. And so my best advice to you is, it doesn't have to end that way. It doesn't. And I feel like this is where we get to shine as like hope dealers to the world. And I don't get a lot of yeses these days, but what I do get a lot of is, please keep shining because I need you. please keep showing up because it's the only good thing I've got in my inbox or on my screen. Or it's such a refreshment to know that like there's somebody out there who's still smiling through the pain. And thank you for sharing that you're in pain, but also that this is how we're triumphing over it. And so, you know, make sure that you lean in to the discomfort to come out on top. As we all round up to 2021, I've always loved the quote of, you know, as we're in the valley, like you go through valleys so that you can climb the mountain, so that you can turn around and pull a sister with you, right? Like we don't leave you down there. And so whether you're still in the valley and you need help, then reach out, or whether you've already come up or you're coming up, then just keep going. But don't let 2020 take the goals that you had set for yourself. There is still 4 months left in this year, and that is a lot of time. It's a lot of time, and there's no reason why all of us shouldn't be sitting in Utah together in the new year, because Lord knows I need to go places away from my home, but not to Old Navy or to softball field. But for real, let it drive you even more. Just don't end the year. Don't let the year end you. You get to decide how you end the year. But that's just been hit home really hard for me. And so I just want to encourage you all to do the same. That's all I got.
That. Thank you. I'm just, you know, throwing the team call link in the new coach training. I meant to do that 20 minutes ago. Anyways, thank you, Ken. That was awesome. Tonight we are talking about challenge groups. So I want to walk you through the process from the initial invite to go time. And then what do you do? What are you inviting to at that point? So let's start there. We know that inviting is the bread and butter, but the other part of that's like the bread and the butter is the challenge groups, right? You need both. And you need to have some sort of flow so that you don't get to your month, you don't start a group and then you go, I don't have anything to invite to because I just started a group. So I'm just going to stop inviting and I'm just going to pour myself into this group. And then I'm going to have a really hard October. You know, that's what we don't want. We want the inviting process to just flow daily. And we want the challenge groups to flow and be a place where you have people getting results, because that's what our job is to do. And those people are then wanting to be a coach on your team, wanting to refer people to you, feeling so great in their own skin that they can't not talk about this whole process, right? So the first thing that you all need to do is always be ahead of the game in terms of your calendar. So whether that is planning at least 1 month in advance, or I like to forecast in quarters, you know, so what is September, October, November, December going to look like? And that way I already kind of know when are we going to have groups starting? When are they going to end? When's the next one going to kick off? So there's one of two routes you can take. And just know that in coaching, you will pick a route and you might feel a couple weeks or even a couple months in that maybe it's not working. And I want to encourage you to always be brave enough to switch things up, because you are the driver of your own business and you get to do that. You get to be creative. You get to switch gears. You get to say, you know what, that's not working. I need to go here and do this way. But also make sure that when you've implemented something new, whether it's a new way of doing challenge groups, maybe it's a new method of timing on them or whatever, that you give it at least a couple of months before you switch gears. Or you'll do what I've done at points in my business where I feel like I'm constantly switching gears and I can't even keep up. So therefore the flow is kind of wrecked with my inviting, and my challenge groups just aren't going as well because I'm constantly trying to figure out what's best. Remember, at the end of the day, what is best is you giving your support, your time and your attention when you're in your work zone to the people that you've promised that to. So whatever your groups look like, the beauty of this is you get to decide what that looks like. But as a business owner, you do need to have a structure with that. So the two routes that I'm talking about here are an ongoing group. I know several of you have ongoing communities, and I've seen that work really well. So if you're doing that, I just want to encourage you, you know, if it's feeling stale, if you get to a point where you're not getting a lot of engagement, that's a great time to throw in a spirit week, throw in some engagement posts at some point in the day, consistently where people go, oh, I know that at 2 p.m. she's going to ask a question and the responses are pretty fun to read. So I'm going to start paying attention to that. It can be something fitness, nutrition related or not. It can be anything just to get people getting to know each other, right? So don't be afraid to switch things up. One thing that I love about challenge groups, and I always remind myself, especially when I'm in one where I'm like, ooh, I don't, this, this just isn't going well, is we get to set the tone, right? Nobody has an expectation unless you end up with that customer who's been in a group before, had a previous coach. But most of the time, generally speaking, nobody knows what a challenge group is like because they've never been in one. They have no expectations, right? What you've promised them is that they're going to get a killer workout, they're going to have this amazing shake, and they're going to get support from you. So you get to bring your personality into those challenge groups. So the other option is to have groups that run maybe 30 days or 21 days or the duration of a season or whatever that looks like. But you need to plan for that, because if you don't plan for it, again, you're going to be running up against a group that's ending and you don't know when the next one's beginning, and you have people who want to sign up and you don't know where to put them. And that's where it starts to feel stressy. And I think the more that you can streamline this business in things like this that you can control, then you can cut out a lot of the stress and a lot of the angst and a lot of the like, oh, I got to reach out and see what everybody's doing. So I know that a lot of you, most of you, if not all of you, have been in groups with Kim and myself before, or with your upline coach. So if what you're doing is working, then keep doing it. And I hope that I can bring some information tonight for those of you who are killing it in the challenge groups. I hope I can still bring some information tonight where you're not like already checking out like, okay, Andy, this is enough, right? Because I think that this is just in looking over our team, I think that this is a topic that needs to be brought up more often because it is such an important tool that we use as coaching, right? So you invite somebody, what does that look like? That's also something that you get to make up how you want to do it based on your personality. So are you inviting them straight to the challenge group, or are you inviting them to an info group? If you've worked with Kim and I with info groups, you know that we always have one open for whatever group is coming up. Sometimes we've literally just changed, like we've been doing lately, changed the banner photo and the welcome post from our previous group, info group, because there's 200 plus people in there and not all of them have said yes yet. So it's basically a pool of people who were hoping they're ready, and they're going to start seeing posts in there again, and they're going to go, okay, now I'm ready. Or maybe it's a matter of the type of group that we're describing, because we always try to put a different flair on it, is something that attracts them more than maybe it did last month, or whatever the case may be. So in terms of info groups, again, you are always more than welcome to jump into ours. And if you do that, all we ask is that you be a face in there. And the reason is we don't want you to add people and then have them not see you in there and then not sign up, or not see you in there and then be asking Kim or I, because we want you to be signing up your own people. We're definitely not in the business of, people adding people and then us signing them up. We want you guys to get the wins there. So you're more than welcome to always invite to our info groups, use them as a tool to get people more information. But if you're going to add people, post in there, post your transformation, post your testimony, show up, whatever the, theme is for whatever we're promoting, get in there and write a post. We are more than happy with you being a major player in those info groups. Another option is jump in our info group as a fly on the wall and feel free to take our content and make your own info group. Then you are the face, and maybe it's you and your downline, or you and a couple other coaches on the team or whatever. Then you have a ton of content, and you know how we are on this team, sharing is caring. You can literally grab our content and throw it in your own group so that it's you running it and you can control it, in the sense that all the people that you add, that they're your people, and away you go. Or maybe you're not an info group person at all, and you are just inviting directly to the challenge group. So if that's the route that you're taking, that is fantastic. Also, make sure you have your little snippet of information when somebody says, yes, I'd love to know more, or, that might sound like something I'm interested in, whatever they say, make sure you have that snippet handy. I know a lot of times that trips up newer coaches. Like, you're doing all the inviting and then you actually have somebody say they want more information. You go, oh my gosh. Or like what I did at the beginning of my business, I spent so much time retyping the same thing over and over and over and over again, when you should have that ready to go in your notes or in a keyboard shortcut or whatever, so that it just goes. Because the fact of the matter is, it's the same information. There's no need to retype it. Of course, the first sentence or two might be a little bit different depending on the person, but that's about it. Then away you go, right? And that information, if you want an example, is always in the team page on the Sunday post from Kim, Saturday night post from Kim, if you want some ideas. Okay, so whether they go in info or you get whatever, now it's a yes. Okay, so let's get to the next point. You put them in your challenge group, right? So are you running an ongoing? Are you running one with Kim and I, or are you ready to take off on your own? And this was another reason I wanted to talk about this tonight, is I wanted to just, remind everybody that you are more than welcome to run groups with us, and you're also more than welcome to run your own. We want to make sure it's very clear that we're more than merrier, but at the same time, we want you to feel confident, especially every single person on this call right now, to run your own groups if you want to. And that's not saying that we don't want to run them with you by any means. It's just saying that if you're ready, don't feel like you always have to wait for what we're doing. Or maybe you don't like the theme that we're doing, or maybe you have people that want to start now and we're not starting for 2 weeks. Then by all means, go ahead and run your own group. In terms of what the group looks like, again, you get to create your own content. If you're the type of person that loves making images and writing content all day long, then do that. You don't have to use the mompreneur stuff. You don't have to use the back office stuff. You can write and create to your heart's content. That is so not me. I'm like, somebody give me a template, because that is not my jam. So know that you can always use the mompreneur content that's posted in the team page and in the team drive every month. And one thing that we've gotten away from that is a really great source, so I just want to point it out, in the back office under, now I forget, it's not training, one of the main tabs at the top. And there's challenge group guides, and they're specific to each program. There's also one that could be for like a multi-program type group. And those are great if you're coming at it from the standpoint of wanting to showcase Bevy in your next group, or wanting to showcase Energize, or wanting to showcase Recover. So even if you're running a group right now and you're like, I kind of want to add something this month, go check out those challenge group guides, because it's a lot of content that's already written for you based around a lot of our products that don't always get highlighted. So I like using those in some sense. Be careful, because my honest opinion about those is I feel like if you use them every single day, word for word, they seem a little bit salesy, in my personal opinion. But again, it's totally up to you and your vibe for your group. And maybe that's exactly what your people would love. And I had already mentioned, make sure it's engaging. Maybe you're only posting one post a day. That's fine. Don't feel like you have to do 3 posts or it doesn't have to be any certain way. The goal is to get people to engage and get people results. So what does that look like for you? Think about it from the standpoint of, what do you like from the challenge groups that you've been in, or what did you love most from your very first challenge group that hooked you and wanted you to become a coach yourself? And do those things. All right. And again, if it falls flat, then definitely post some engaging things. And don't forget, just because you're posting in a challenge group every day, and I hear this a lot, which is another reason I wanted to talk about challenge groups tonight, is, sometimes you're posting and you feel like your posts are on point and you're being super engaging and nobody is really saying anything. It's up to you as the coach to reach out to your people and say, hey, what's going on? Maybe they're shy and sometimes groups get off to a slow start and everybody's quiet and it's like pulling teeth to get anybody to comment. So it's up to you to reach out to them and do your best to get them to engage. But at the same time, it's not your responsibility to go to their house and make them do the thing. So make sure you're not spending all of your time worrying about the people who are not checking into your challenge groups. Okay, another important topic I wanted to talk about in terms of challenge group flow, because we get this question all the time, is, for example, let's say you today's Tuesday and you had a group start yesterday on Monday, what do? How do you invite? You just keep inviting. And then let's say somebody tomorrow says yes, but you just had a group start. Well, then in my opinion, it's a personal one-on-one conversation with that person of like, we just had a group kickoff Monday. Don't want you to feel behind, but if you're super eager and ready to start now, then that's up to them. I like to put it back on the person who's signing up to let them decide, but I give them all of the information. So it, to kind of get a feel for their personality. If they're the type that has to go from day 1 to day 30 and they cannot sign in and see that you're already on day 5, that's going to bother them and they're not going to do anything, well, then they need to wait. So make sure they know that. But that is where the timing and the schedule comes into what and when and where is your next group going to be, so that you can tell them, I just had a group kickoff Monday, but I have another one starting in 3 weeks. And in the meantime, I'm going to help get you prepped. I like to send an email every time somebody signs up. An example of that email, again, is in the Google Drive. I highly recommend that because it's going to welcome them. It's going to, in mine at least, it points out Tribe Trifecta so that they can get in there right away. Or if you have another ongoing community like that on top of your monthly challenge groups or however you do it, that's a great place for them to be able to get in right away and start checking in. And I also kind of go over the basics in that email of taking your measurements and your weight, all of your stats, your before photos. I do a brief little snippet about nutrition, about BOD, where to find that information, how to log in, how to find your first workout. In that email, I talk about Clean Week because I think it's a great starting place for a lot of people. So it's a good intro and a good welcome. But I also know that a lot of people don't read emails. And if they're like me and they get an email from anything they signed up, even if they're excited about it, they're going to ignore it. So that's where a prep group comes in. And that's the next thing I want to talk about. Again, something that you get to create based on how you want it to go. A prep week can be something that is in the unit section in your challenge group if you have an ongoing challenge group, and you can refer people to the prep week posts in there. It can be a series of emails if you're an email tech savvy person and you like that sort of flow. It can be where you're starting a new group, every 30 days. And when you're in week 4, you're prepping a new group for week 1 and you all start week 1. But the point I'm trying to make with a prep week is there needs to be some sort of prep for your people to start them off with success. So whatever that looks like for you, make sure that that's part of what you're doing. And for you newer coaches, I'm not trying to say all of this in terms of the prep and the email to overwhelm you. If you have specific questions on what that can look like, just reach out and I'll walk you through that. It doesn't have to be complicated. Just think of it from the sense that how you felt when you first bought your challenge pack and you needed a little bit of guidance on where to go. You need to be, shown how to log into BOD. Now with the nutrition bundles coming in all challenge packs, that's a really big deal. I don't know if you guys got that memo, but Ultimate Portion Fix and 2B will now be part of every single challenge pack, which reminds me, make sure to tell your people that that is also a new monthly charge that will be automatic. So I'm telling my people to be ready to cancel that subscription, because I don't know about you, but to me, it's not worth $20. I would have to go look at the FAQ to even see what you get for that $20 a month. So in my opinion, I wish they didn't do that part. However, the fact that they're throwing in UPF and 2B into every challenge group, I think is fantastic. So that's another thing that your people need to know. And I think that getting into a streamlined system is only going to be beneficial for your business, because you have to think about scaling this big, right? You can't think about it as like, okay, I just got my first 2 customers and I'm going to text them. Oh, I got to text them about BOD. Oh, I got to text them about how to do this. No. You want to look as professional as possible without overcomplicating it. But have a system that you can count on that is time sensitive for you, what's the word I'm looking for? A time saver for yourself, so that you're not recreating the wheel every single time you sign somebody up. It's just bada bing, bada boom. You know that they have the information on their end, and away you go. then they're in the challenge group and you are gold. If you are ever wondering what to do with somebody based on the timing of when they purchased and what your groups look like, always ask them. Always figure out what would serve their personality best, because at the end of the day, you want them to get results, and it's not going to really make that much of an impact on you if you have one more person in your group that just kicked off, or if they're waiting. But for them, it could make or break. You don't want to put somebody who is very type A, needs to start on day one, in a group that already started, because I guarantee it, they won't show up. And a month will go by, and then they'll cancel their Shakeology and they'll be frustrated, But if you have the person who's like, no, I needed to start yesterday, I can't wait, they need to start. So just remember to keep it based on the person that you're talking to. So my whole point in that was you're inviting all of the time. I think this is one place that we're getting stuck as a team, is we're waiting for that challenge group to start, and then it starts, and then it feels like there's kind of a slump in inviting, especially that week one of a new group, because you're focusing so much on pouring into the challenge group, which is great, and you're focusing so much on pouring into your new people, but then you're not inviting. And you're also not inviting because you're worrying about, well, I don't even know where I'm going to put these people because I just kicked off a group. So that is basically the whole point of this call tonight, is to make sure that you're doing those vital behaviors every day, including inviting, no matter when the group kicked off, because you are the driver of this ship. You're going to plan out your month. You're going to know when the next group's coming, and you're going to plug people in accordingly. And the truth is, it's very rare that on the day that you're inviting, that's when you're getting the yeses. So it all seems to work just fine. And the other thing that I think is great with this team is you can always reach out and ask for advice on what to do with somebody if you're kind of up in the air, and we'll, talk it through what's going to be best for her and what's going to be best for you. Before I move forward, what questions do you guys have, or ideas, or anything going on in your challenge groups? I would love to hear what you guys feel is working really well in your challenge groups right now, just to kind of share as a team. Anybody have any input on ongoing versus monthly that they want to share? What's worked, or what they've learned from doing a little bit of both, or anything?
Well, for me, when Challenge Tracker switched over to BOD, I moved to Facebook, and I was really hesitant to go back to BOD groups, but I've been running MBF and MBFA and I've had zero issues. So if anyone's been like on the fence about starting their group back in BOD, the going live feature is now up and running, and I've had no issues logging in from my phone or my computer. So I run my challenge groups in there for new launches, or like if I have a really big group starting with a lot of new people, and then I also run a Facebook group for ongoing people.
I love that. So your BOD groups, obviously a launch is going to run the duration of that program. Are you doing monthly ones in BOD for your new people monthly, or just kind of depends on how many you get in the month?
Yeah, I would like to say yes, that's the plan, and that as long as things keep running smoothly in BOD, I think people prefer it because of all the different things that you can track in there. And that my Facebook group will just be more for people who are not following the whole program, not on Shakeology anymore, or if they just want to take a break from being in a group like BOD, then I put them in Facebook. Sorry, my husband is going through all the groceries right now as I'm talking.
Yeah. Come on, PJ, loud. Thanks, Tara. That was very helpful. I didn't even know that you switched back to BOD. You probably told me, sorry. Anybody else want to add anything about groups? Any questions? Maybe concerns? Anything? Honestly, I can't decide what I like better versus ongoing versus monthly. I like the idea of ongoing because I like getting to a point where all my people are in one place. But I feel like it, just from my experience, when I've let an ongoing go on too long, there becomes a point where it's just running out of steam. So I feel like it is, I haven't found a perfect science with it all these years. But at the end of the day, you're looking to get people results. And that's why you're always looking at what's working and what's not working and asking other coaches. I would also say that the National Wake Up Call always, I feel like very regularly has calls about challenge groups, what's working now, and what's worked in the past, and what's worked in the past tends to cycle back to what works now. So if you're ever looking for inspiration on challenge groups or a different way that maybe other teams do it or anything like that, definitely look at the National Wake Up archives in the champions page or in the back office, because there's a lot of gold there. I feel like over the years, I've learned so many little tidbits about what people have done in groups from the National Wake Up Calls. Y'all are so quiet tonight.
I was gonna say that the back off or the champions page is like, I feel like once a week someone's talking about what's working in their groups, which I think is really helpful. So definitely listen and watch trainings. And like one of the things I think is, I think joining forces with somebody who's like-minded like you to run your groups is really helpful to have, whether you do it with the team of women that you have, or you are newer and you're just trying to figure out who your team is. Always ask us like, hey, I'm ready to go out on my own. I want to run, some groups. Who would you recommend? And then go from there. And I think a lot of times you'll find your answer.
For sure.
We are, you want me to tell them about the group that we're putting together right now?
Oh, yes. I meant to do that. You share all about it.
So we're just trying to toy with right before 30-day breakaway, which comes out in October. So we basically have about 3 weeks once this last NBFA kicks off. And for some of you, maybe you're still a week behind and no big deal, but just so that you have something else to invite to, we're doing a tour de BOD. So it'll be 21 days, 21 different programs. There'll be a beginner and an intermediate option. All workouts between 30 and 40 minutes, minus like a couple. We're going to do one of the intermediates will be like a leg day from the work, but that's about it. They'll get to try everything. And then every day during the group, we will share about all things Beachbody. So like, day 1 BOD, day 2 Shakeology, day 3 Energize, day 4 UPF, day 5 discount coaching. And then we'll talk about hobby coaching, and then we'll talk about career coaching. And we're just going to break down all of Beachbody into one 21-day group. So we'll have like one post about each of them. But the hope is that they learn more about all the things that we have to offer. Because there's so much that we have to offer that sometimes they think, we don't even think about it from our own. Actually, just saw something while I was looking at a hole here. We don't even realize that we have all these things. And so it hopefully will just be a really fun way to like, also then we'll talk about 30-day breakaway, and we'll, get people ready to rock and roll with that, and why being a discount coach will be helpful in this situation and all that jazz. So, it's just kind of a fun, this is when I thrive. This is when I enjoy the business the most, is when you just kind of come up with something that you think your people will love. And if it's one thing I've learned over the years, the more you're excited about something, the more someone else is going to be excited about something. So when I talk about this exclusive group that we're having, and I'm like super pumped, and I'm talking about this is going to be my next group, most of the time people are just like, what's this September group? How do I get in on it? What do I have to do? That's the kind of excitement you want to kind of rev up. So that's what we're fixing to start here in just a week and a half.
Yeah. And on that note, plan out this next launch coming up. It's a really good time to look at the dates for 30-day breakaway and Control Freak coming out, so that you plan what you're going to be doing, which then leads to what your groups look like, what you're inviting to, and then you don't end up, starting a program that you're not going to finish all the way before something comes out, and then feeling like behind in any way. There's no behind, but you know what I mean. now's the time to definitely plan that out since we know the dates, at least with the first one.
Totally.
And kind of go from there. Danny, I wanted to ask you, I'm putting you on the spot, 30-day breakaway. Can you tell us a little bit more insight about it now that you're further in?
Yeah, it actually ended today. I'm doing my 5K in the morning.
Congrats. That's awesome.
I didn't really miss any. I just missed 2 days this weekend from work, but the results are due tomorrow. So I'm just going to do my 5K in the morning. It's fine. But I love it. And I honestly can't wait to do it again. And it's already over. But the run, I was never a runner. And it's really just helped me build. It's really modifiable. There's different kinds of runs. The runs are anywhere from like 20 minutes to, I think the longest is the beginning. I think there's a couple like 30 minutes, but I don't think any of them go past 30 minutes. The workouts are very similar moves to 21 Day Fix, Morning Meltdown 100. They're all pretty similar things we've seen before, a little bit different.
Let's take a snapshot of your week with this program.
There's a calendar, and each week is a little bit different the way it's set up, but she has it set up the way that she wants you to do it. There are rest days. A lot of the rest days are on Sunday, which I think are going to be really helpful for a lot of people, because I think that's a lot of everybody's day that they try to rest. But it builds up. The first week, I think there's maybe 3 runs, and then it's 4 runs, and then it's 5 maybe. But you have there's a pyramid type run, an interval type run. The last one's usually like a recovery, but it's like a consistent, you run the whole time, but at a slower pace. It's very based, the runs are based on RPEs. Kind of like if anybody's ever done spinning, that's where I'd heard that before. But she has it set up so you do get rest days. Some of the rest days are a rollout day, where I don't know if you've seen everybody doing the rolling out workouts. Some of them, she has like an ab day. She has a lower body day. And so you do a workout and a run usually. So that's the biggest challenge I think I had, was if I have a really busy day and I have to fit one of the two, like there were a couple times where I had to go to the run. And so next time I want to make sure I have the time. So that's one thing I want to tell my people is like, this one takes a little bit more time on the workouts, but it's not hard. Like I'll drink my Energizer, do like a 20-minute workout, and then I'll go straight to my run.
So total, what are we talking time-wise?
Maybe like 40.
Okay.
45.
Not
up to an hour. It's not that close to an hour.
And I know you were running outside, but is there people in the test group running on a treadmill?
Yes, and the whole time she has instructions on that. So say you're in the middle of a interval for 30 seconds of resting. So you can walk or you can jog. Before you get to that time to start again, she'll be like, okay, if you're on a treadmill, start increasing your speed. Like she's aware of both situations. So I thought that was really cool, because I've always been a treadmill runner if I ran, but now I've never wanted to run outside, and I don't think I'll ever hit a treadmill after this, because it was so helpful, I think. I don't know.
Okay, one more random question my mom wants to know. My mom's done every program with me since 10 rounds, and then I told her what we're doing next, and she's like, if she has like a 1/4 mile driveway, could she run back and forth, or is that not going to work?
Yeah, the road, I live on a cul-de-sac, and the road that my cul-de-sac is off of, from the start to the end of the road, is a 1/2 mile. And I use that to do, like, I know in my brain, I'm a numbers person, so I have to know, like, I'm going to run down and back twice, and that'll be 2 miles. Like, I don't know why. It's just like a mental thing. Same thing as the reservoir where I live. It's a 1/2 mile down and back. So, I mean, a 1/4, she would just be doing it more.
Okay.
It's different than one lap around the track. You know, a lot of people in the group, they've gone in on school tracks. A lot of them have done, I'm trying to think, different places. I've seen a lot of people doing it on the track. I can't run in a circle. That makes me want to go crazy. But down and back isn't as bad. It's my neighborhood. So, yeah, that's definitely doable. But I like it because it's modifiable, like anything else we have. So in the beginning, I for sure was walking during those recovery periods. And I just like got more and more proud of myself as I'm like, no, I'm going to jog. Like, even if I'm barely jogging, like I'm not walking this time. So that was really cool. I think more people are gonna like it than we think.
Yeah, I hope you're right.
So excited.
I did not. I was
I'm
not
not
when they said
excited at all.
running. That's what it was gonna be on. I wasn't that excited. I was like, man, like I
Well, you
love.
have a great testimony because I remember you saying that, like, oh, I got the test group, but it's running. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah, and I was kind of talking to, I don't know who I was talking to today, but like my result wise, like I'm not big on keeping track of my weight anyway, but the way my body has changed has been like something I don't think any of the other programs could have done for me personally. Like I think that there were different kinds of results for me. It could be for other people could get different things, but where I'm at, like I'm so looking forward to doing measurements tomorrow because I think they're going to be crazy compared to the scale.
I'm so glad you brought that up because think about it for all of your customers who have been doing programs with you, or maybe they've only done one program and you say, hey, this is coming next. I'm anticipating some pushback because a lot of us who are, at least speaking of my own story, somebody who wasn't into fitness, and I attract people who aren't into fitness, they're not going to want to run, right? So being able to tell them, like, your body's going to change in different ways. We have somebody on our team who did it, who doesn't like to run, wasn't super excited about it, and she wants to do another round. Definitely be using that information that we have when you're in conversations with people. And the people who have done several programs with you, we all need a kick in the butt with different muscle confusion and things like this. And that is the beauty of Beachbody. As much as I'm like nervous about this running program, I'm so glad they came out with it. It's just another tool in our toolkit, and I think it's going to be awesome.
Don't be nervous. Don't be nervous.
Well, I
And
also
it's
feel like
I'm
so
nervous.
many-
Like, what am I going to do with my kids? Buy a Almanac in 20.
Well, and like it got my daughter's 7, and where I live, like I said, it's a cul-de-sac, and thank God, I mean, honestly, she's gotten into Fortnite, and I would just tell her, like, don't go outside. I'll be gone. Like, I'm out for 20 minutes, but I'm right outside. Like, if she truly needed me, she knows where I'm at. But
Yeah.
sometimes I would just do my cul-de-sac around or whatever, and then down the street and back. But, I mean, you have 4. It's a lot different.
Could you do it pushing a stroller, or is it?
Oh, there's actually so many pregnant women pushing strollers, and I don't know how they're doing it, but they're
Okay.
doing it. So yes, the one day, I don't know if like even if you had like one kid, but I would have her ride her bike next to me when we were at the reservoir. That was pretty cool. She was over it like day 2, but it was fun at first. I gave her one of my AirPods and she could hear what I was doing. She thought that was cool, but then she was done. But
she was over.
yeah, but I mean, if you did have your kids and you could find a school track, they could play in the field or something. There are different things that people have found out that work. I know there's a guy, you guys would probably know him. He spoke at Summit one year. What's his name? Craig something. He like met his wife.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
And he's pretty awesome. And he talked about him and his wife are both doing it. They would go to the park. One would watch the kids, one would do the run, the other would watch the kids, the other would do their run. So they spent an hour letting their kids play at the park, but they were both getting it done. I thought that was pretty creative.
Yeah. That's
so
awesome.
there are lots of things I've learned that people have been creative to get it done, but I like it. I'm ready.
Thank you. You're making me excited now. I was planning on just getting up before my kids and doing the treadmill, but now my wheels are spinning.
And it's also 20 minutes to yourself. That's what I really like.
Yeah.
Because when you're in your house, your kids interrupt, they come in, they want to be in the camera, they want to be silly. Like, it's kind of nice to like, I'll be back in 20 minutes.
Right. It's almost like a little getaway.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Okay, who's planning to do 30-day breakaway when it comes out?
We were actually talking in our group. They have it kind of set up perfectly when they're launching it for coaches, because if we do a prep week, comes out the 5th through the 18th is the window, and then where is it at? 5th through the 18th, and then the 19th if you do prep week and start the 26th. The 30 days lands right at Thanksgiving, so you could do a turkey trot as your 5K, which would be kind of cool because everyone wants to do that anyway. So we were just actually talking about that, how we could plan that. And if you didn't want to do a prep week, you could end it the week before if people have vacations or whatever. But we like prep weeks, so it kind of was perfect on that timing that they did for like a theme.
Awesome. All right, ladies. Well, thanks for hanging with us tonight. You know where to find us if you have any questions or anything.
Thank you, Andy. Thanks, Kim.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Annie, for your info.
Bye, guys.
Good night.
Thanks, ladies.
Good night.